You know, I've noticed something that when we finally begin to look inwards, begin to think about why we feel the way we feel, why we act the way we act, why we are the way we are, we often point at one place: our parents. It's almost instinctive for us to say, if they hadn't done this, I wouldn't be like this. If this hadn't happened, then I wouldn't be here. I understand. And you know what? You're not wrong to feel that way. Our childhood often shape the way we turn out in life. It shapes us more than we can even realize. But you see, blaming our parents might not be wrong, but it is not the way to help us heal. Today on Sis Council, we are going to be looking deeper into why we blame our parents and understanding why they did what they did. Because putting ourselves in their shoes is one of the ways we can actually move forward from what they did. My name is Confidence. Welcome to Sis Council. If this is your first time on the channel, please don't forget to subscribe. So, why do we blame them? You see, blame is one of the easiest emotions to reach for. It gives reason to what we feel. It says, this is why I am like this. This is why I am the way I am. It offers relief, let's be honest. It does. But then, relief is not healing. I mean, you can be relieved from the pain, doesn't mean the wound is not there, does it? Blame can give us clarity when everything feels confusing. But if you keep on rehearsing what they did over and over again, we end up staying in the pain that we are trying to escape. Yes, it's okay to name what hurt us, but staying there can quietly chain us to the past. The Bible began to admonish us not to let any root of bitterness take roots in us. It often starts from the home. The people that were around us when we were little, people that were around us when we were still, innocent of the world's view and all that. It's very, very hard to let go of the things that they did. I understand, because as children, we looked to our parents and we saw them as the pathfinders, the people that were supposed to show us how to move in the world and how to, navigate life. So when they made mistakes, those mistakes, of course, tend to affect us. Like I said, we were children and they were the adults. But then there is a need to understand them, to understand why they did the way they did. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself or to realize the fact that your parents were also someone's children? They gave from what they had. Some of our parents parented from the point of survival, not from the vantage of wisdom. Sometimes it was all they had going for them. Now, trying to understand them doesn't mean you're excusing them. It simply means you're ready to see them through clearer eyes. We need to understand that our parents had their own childhoods. They weren't always great. They had their own wounds, their own fears, their own disappointment, their own insecurities, and so many other things, even their own trauma. And it was what they had that they gave. Sometimes that wasn't good enough. And the result is that they passed on this trauma to us, the next generation. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if your parents' hearts were filled with all these things, again, through no fault of their own, probably shaped by their own childhood, that was what they had to bring out. And that trauma seeped into your own childhood. Again, this may not excuse them, but at least it's a step to understanding, and more importantly, letting it go and paving a way for your own future and your children to come. So now you need to shift perspective, and this new perspective is what I call the grace perspective. You see, grace does not erase accountability. As a matter of fact, it gives room for accountability and something else, which is a chance to be better. Grace allows you to say, I understand that you hurt me, but I also understand that you were hurting too. Understand that you did this, but I also understand that you had your own limitations. When you begin to see your parents as more than just mom and dad, and start seeing them as human beings with their own stories, their own scars, their own past, their own faults, weaknesses, and even strengths, you begin to grow. And not just that, you begin to reclaim the power that blame stole from you. All right, so let's try to reframe the story. Write down one thing from your childhood that hurt you the most, something your parents did. And beside it, write down a possible reason for why they acted that way. It is not an excuse, you're just trying to explore. Maybe your mom was overly strict because she never felt safe while she was growing up. Or your dad was emotionally distant because he was taught that men shouldn't show emotions. This understanding is very important. The book of Proverbs tells us that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all that you get understanding. You need understanding in order to find peace. You need to see the full picture, the clearer picture, in order to heal or even set boundaries where necessary. Why? Because truth and grace often work hand in hand. What did the Bible say about the word Jesus? It said he was full of truth and grace. And that is why we are going to continue the next time. How to make sure that we also don't repeat the same mistakes. Take out a piece of paper or a notebook and write this down, write this sentence. I understand why my parents did what they did because you may not be ready to finish that sentence today or anytime soon. That's fine. Healing takes time. As you give more thoughts to it, I hope that you find grace, truly understand, finish that sentence. I want you to share this video with someone who you know needs to hear this. Invite them to this page, let them watch this, and let them listen to this. And you can comment below. I choose understanding over blame. Confessions are powerful. Till next time.